Hello and welcome to me running down patch 11.23 notes for League of Legends. Because of the fact that I have friends that I'm going to either get to play this with me on stream, or a friend that I'm going to teach to play this game. New preseason of a new season, which ultimately brings us to what is possibly going to be either a very shit time for any person who tries to play, or is going to be the season where every single character that has an ultimate is going to be able to feast and famine off of people just for very literally existing. It is literally disgusting. It is egregious. And it sickens me by every single bit of what they have put here. But we're going to have to fucking deal with it. And a lot of what they put here does not actually solve any of the problems. And a lot of them actually increase how bad they are. I've seen talk from it. I've seen people doing it, both in their games and experiencing it with them playing on the PTR. And now the shit's here, so let's go through it. So, new items, item changes, jungle additions, rune additions, well, a rune addition and a rune change, and a systems change through objective bounties. Bunch of bullshit about Arcane. It's a television show on Netflix. The show is fine. The game is not. And that really should tell you all you really need to know about Riot's game plan moving forward in the future. But let's go fucking through it, okay? Objective bounties. This is something that shouldn't need to be in the game, but it is because of the fact that there are too many people who have demonstrated a lack in capability to do basic fucking things when it comes to understanding how to play the game. You can look up multiple people talking about it, including the opinion that comes from people like Nice, especially considering he's become to blow the fuck up within the last 2 years with his coaching. But the problem with objective bounties is simple. In any MOBA where they've ever existed, in any MOBA where it could be added to the systems check, it is the consequence of adding extra shit to the map, and it is also the consequence of other people not choosing to play the MOBA the way it's intended to be played. And this is from the competitive mindset. And it's because it's from the competitive mindset that this is a necessary addition that has to be added, because the community necessitates that it needs to be added, right? So, this is the same company that believes the thing that they need to remove is all chat, when literally, all chat is not the problem in games. It is not toxicity from people on the opposite team that is causing things to be like this. It is the toxicity from people on your own team that is causing it to be like this, which includes people in the ELO that we like to refer to as ELO hell. I just choose to refer to as low ELO as anything that isn't before high diamond, because ultimately, the mindset of the players is what holds them back, rather than the actual things that they're facing in their matches. Because it's just not realistic. It's not realistic to say that the low ELO is that if they just got carried and if they just got boosted. No. Objective bounties is a perfect case example of exactly that. League of Legends ultimately ends up being a game of people bouncing gold back and forth between each other because they do not understand how to close out a game. And objective bounties is what happens when teams don't learn how to come back because they don't understand what to do to come back. It is basically a big glowing waypoint that says, hey, if you take this, you have an opportunity and chance, when there shouldn't need to be a waypoint to tell you that. But here it is, and it's necessary because of that situation I just explained. Objective bounties only activating when a team is sufficiently behind, and objectives will pay out bounties that are highlighted on the map for both teams. If the losing team takes the objective with the active bounty, each of the members will then receive objective bounty gold. Effectively, if you see objective bounties in your game, that means if you're seeing it on a regular case basis, no matter what you fucking do, if you are a jungler and you're seeing this happen, it means that you're not applying map pressure. If you're a mid and you're playing assassins and you see this happening, it means you're not executing the players that are holding back the members of your team on the enemy team. If you're a top laner and you see this, you're not farming hard enough, or you're not stopping yourself from dying enough. And if you're seeing this from the bottom lane and you're not taking powerful 2v2s by playing up on level 2 and taking your advantage, you are playing in such a way that you are allowing it to happen by giving away your agency. Those are the realistic ways you should see it. Any other situation where you're playing a control mage or a rotation mage and playing for a utility rather than playing for KDA and padding for kills will show that this won't happen, because you'll be getting ahead in gold from your farming. You'll be getting ahead in gold from taking objectives. You'll be getting ahead in gold from supporting your team and just stopping them from greeting for things, or just simply allowing plays to happen by not thinking to move to where the pressure on the map will go. That is ultimately the conjecture to having objective bounties. You should not need to give assistance and put more gold in the game along with a rune like First Strike, but we'll get to First Strike in a second. You should not need to add this level of gold in the game because of these factors, right? So, additional 500 gold on Baron and Elder, 500 gold on Drake and Rift Herald, an outer gold turret for 250, which basically is another plate and a half worth of gold, an inner turret, an additional 400 level of gold on top of the 500 you'd get, base turret gold, maybe about 150 on top of this 400. These things increasing to the point of an additional 60% is ridiculous in gold flip. It shouldn't be here. It really shouldn't fucking be here. On top of the fact that this is something that activates 15 seconds after they fall behind and deactivates 15 seconds after they rise above it, this doesn't make sense because of the fact that if you're going to add this and you're going to deactivate this based on gold swings, it means it's almost always going to be active for a team who's far, far behind in a feast and famine game versus assassins, because that's where most deficits are going to come from. It's going to come from one person on the enemy team, usually from the mid lane, and if not in the mid lane, from the top lane. Either a Riven who's gotten far ahead, stomping out games and looking powerful because they don't have ganks coming through to stop them, or a mid lane Yone just decided to slay everybody on the team and is allowed to go wherever he wants because the enemy laner doesn't challenge the push or does not follow the laner to allow for the play to be stopped by a 4v2 being challenged by its own 4v4. It is the stuff of nightmares, and ultimately, this is not going to become better than anything else. It is garbage, to say the least. It is just fucking garbage. It needs to be removed from the game, but it's going to be in the game because players and the way that they choose to play inside of Ranked, not necessarily the rest of the queues, it's just Ranked that has this problem, is going to require it to be a reality. So now, moving into jungle changes. 2 new dragons that they are now making and forcing to be doubled during this patch so that people can try to figure out how broken they believe the Chemtech Drake and the Hextech Drake is to be. One is basically the formation of Scion's passive. The other one is instantaneous bard tunnels across the map to allow a person to chase people down and give them the opportunity to play off of this high rotation with the passive effect of what the dragon gives you not even fucking mattering. So, Chem Drake buff. 5% bonus damage is stacked versus enemies with 340 to 1020, your level of 1 to 18, more current health than you, which is effectively the power of Lord Dominic's. Then, when you receive the Dragon Soul, you get a buff that allows you to become basically Slime passive. Revive champions with 80% of their life plus 50% of bonus health and gain 75 to 30% decaying movement speed based on melee or ranged. Revive champions taking 40% less damage, dealing 33% less damage, and taking damage in an ever-increasing percentage of their starting health every 1/4 of a second. It is shitty. It is something that basically came from Ultimate Spellbook, but it's just Scion passive. That's literally what it is. The gas zones will appear on the map that will camouflage players, and quarantines within the zone will deal up to 10% more damage to enemies who have more current health than them, with the maximum damage being increased based on the level that they just described of less health than them, and camouflage enemies not being revealed by regular vision wards, but being revealed by control wards, scryer blooms, and effects that reveal invisible units, while also being revealed if you're standing near them, which basically means in the zone areas of pretty much high contested choke points, blue side red, the outer inskirt of blue side blue, same mirrored on the rest of the map, you will have this zone. Realistically, this affects the mid lane more than it does anything else, because these chokes here affect whether or not you'll be able to rotate in and pick people off of tower positions, which makes first tower even more deadly, and because of this addition that they just made to objective bounties, will possibly maybe get people to actually pay attention to Rift Herald being on the map within the first 10 minutes, which may make it more valuable to people to take. I don't predict it to be so. I expect people to just be playing off of the fact that they have camouflage, which is really the most powerful effect of the Chem Drake. The ability to walk into someone's jungle and basically kill them with a 4-man pick is strong. Same thing with a 2-man pick from the top in the jungle. being able to rotate into this position and take control of all of this is the position top laners like to be in to be able to split to begin with anyways. So this is going to help splitters, it's going to help assassins, it's going to help for catching people off of shit, and it's just going to make things slightly more easier to win more. If you are playing in this position, you basically have to always buy control wards, and you always have to have the effect of your scouter range sweep. You need to always have a sweep with you. So basically that's the mindset of when you're playing versus things like Akali, playing versus things like Vayne. You always need to have a scry. You always need to have the scanner up. You always need to be able to sweep for wards in the jungle. And if you don't have sweeper, you just get fucked here. The same problem that it is with playing versus things like not Camille, but playing versus things like playing against Shaco, out of vision and in vision, playing versus Akali, in vision and out of vision, playing against Vayne, in vision and out of vision, playing versus Evelynn, in vision and out of vision. But it's going to be more the in vision problem, because basically if you don't have people who are paying attention to what's happening, you're just going to get fucked, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you don't pay attention, you're going to get fucked. You have to play in the mindset of, don't let them have the position. Take the position first, and treat it like a king of the hill scenario. He who gets here first and holds this position is the one who gets to win team fights in that position, which makes it even scarier to deal with if you are over the wall inside the dragon pit because of this choke covering the entirety of this loop on this side of the Baron pit, probably planned by exception to be in situations like this. So this is going to be terrifying for any person who can be able to do a smite steal over the wall from red side. Even worse if you're on blue side, because you have no coverage here and you're fucked. So you're going to have to take control of this position more often than not. Hexatech Dragon is a little bit more tolerable and seems a bit more fun, and technically would be the thing you use to be able to beat that situation where people allow someone to walk into their base, take everything, and then instead of making an opportunity to push on something, they stand in their base and just let them walk away free and reset for free. This allows you to chase after them. So, grants you 5 ability haste and 5 attack speed per stack. When you obtain the soul, you get a Volibear passive on your attacks. Sorry about that. When the team of drags the Dragon Drake Soul, adding a Volibear passive to the next ability or attack that will deal 25 to 75 true damage based on your champion level, bouncing to 3 additional targets and then slowing the unit's hit. 4, 45 to 35 versus melee and ranged, plus an additional 5% for every bonus 1,000 health, and 1% for every bonus AP, and 3% for every bonus 100 bonus 80 for 2 seconds, for a cooldown of 8 seconds. So, you get the slow of a Volibear chain that allows you to do chase down, which is going to be really strong versus teams that don't have self-peel and don't have movement abilities. This is going to be for those players that basically get tired of getting walked down and walked in, versus things like Jinx. The next passive is the Hextex Gates. Will appear on the map in these positions. From here on the mid lane, here in the jungle, and mirrored on the same side as well, that will allow you to basically teleport over these walls. A pair of Hex Gates appear across the map, which will allow champions to quickly travel from one location to its paired counterpart. Hex Gates activated with a brief channel that can be interrupted by immobilizations and damage, basically bar tunnels. And each pair of Hex Gates having a 30-second individual cooldown per champion. So, any champion can use this, but once it's been used, it must reset. Moving down through the rest of the changes on Drakes. Drake passive is going to be changed from ultimate ability haste, which didn't really benefit a lot of fucking people, except for the ones who had ultimates that wanted to play off of this, is now changed to 3.5 out of combat move speed and 3.5 additional slow resistance, which is more powerful than it sounds. Ultimate ability haste only benefits people that basically in this season are going to be abusing Axiomark, which we're going to go over next, but it's going to be more, this is for catch potential. Being able to flank people and out-rotate them in macro is going to make this a lot stronger to potentially put them in situations where it will play off of what they actually need to have, rather than what you would like them to see. And then Rift Scuttler, having reduced health, reduced experience, and being reduced in size to match the lower value, which does not impact the bonus experience that is on Huntsman passive items. This is basically being nerfed so that it is not allowed to be so hard to kill, so that you don't have basically game-changing and game-winning and game-losing situations happening with a 2v2 or 3-on-3 challenge of scuttles from the top or the bottom lane. What usually happens, based on your clear speed, which is really not necessarily a nerf to jungle, it's not a nerf or a buff. You could say that it's a nerf in terms of experience being reduced, but the gold stays the same, so that doesn't really matter. It is a nerf in the sense of experience versus everyone else, but not impacting the bonus that you're going to get. So you're still going to be able to do things like doing scuttle and then getting the rest of your camps to do a full clear, get your level 4, get closer to level 5, whatever you want to do in the jungle. What this impacts is specifically the counter matchup of you have control on one side or both sides of the map. The junglers end up seeing each other at the scuttle, and it becomes a fight over who gets to have control. Because basically, once you have the scuttler, it sets up whether or not you can or cannot go for a gank. Not just that you have the movement speed, but namely the vision. It blocks off that part of the jungle in those positions, namely here and here. What happens in this situation, and I will try to draw this, what happens in this situation, let me get my epic pen. So, what happens in this situation, when you try to play for this, is that you will have people come from angles here, better color, come from angles over here, 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 and here, from either jungle positions, coming in from their red side and blue side mirrors. And basically, if the jungler does not have pressure or does not have priority, the jungler would normally just give up and go to the other side. What this is going to cause is it to be less of a concern for players to want to walk over and try to steal for it, because it has less health and it's not going to be as tanky as one would want. Because if the jungler shows up first and they have the damage to burst it down, or they have a way to break down the shield on the scuttle, they're going to break that shield and they're going to kill it and smite it and move the fuck on. It's going to happen really, really fast. And because that happens fast, it's going to make it easier for them to get away with doing that compared to what you would normally expect them to want to do in the situation. Because what most junglers would want to do is call over the top in the mid laner for a 3v3 to challenge this, and usually the one who gets there first and has first initiative is the one who kills. Same thing with the bottom lane. We call over the bottom lane with the jungler, and whoever comes here first has the initiative. But in this case, rather than 3v3, this case is a 4v4. Most of the time, if you're able to push it towards this direction or this direction, you're going to have the bottom lane rotating up, and you're going to get caught if you just happen to have the players that don't react. A lot of the times, players don't react. They just choose to let it happen. They don't collapse, they don't move, they don't look, they don't think, they just allow it to happen, and then they blame the jungler if they die there. There's been a lot of takes and a lot of matchups where, to prevent that, the jungler will take Smite, Ignite. Shaco can do this, Warwick can do this, Yi can do this, and it's because they have the freedom of either being able to choose to stay or choose to fight, because once they actually initiate the fight and they get in there, it's going to be more likely for them to kill than others, because Yi has Alpha Strike, Shaco has Deceive and Boxes, and Warwick just has the stickiness of his passive and the stickiness of using the attachment to go through targets to stay on top of them and basically scrap it out to the last of his life. Combo that with the effects of what's in the other video of me testing the new lethal tempo, and it's going to make for a very scrappy situation no matter what you're doing, and adding in the chaos of mid laners and top laners and bottom laners to that matchup is going to make it really, really strong. So in situations like this is where that scuttle change is going to affect them. It's also going to affect the opportunity and the idea that you're going to have a top laner or a mid laner path over to take this for themselves. They're not going to want to do it. It's going to be out of the way. They have to deal with shields. If they don't have the ability to take off the shield, they're going to have to use an ability for the shield. They're not going to want to do that, because then what happens if they get caught? They don't put wards here and these connecting brushes for the jungle doors. It gets messy, so it helps with that entire philosophy. It basically does not entice that matchup, but I don't think it's going to matter, because people are going to fight over weird shit anyways. So, moving on from there, we have the new items. Crown of the Shattered Queen. This is the mage item for protecting players that want to live. It is the anti-burst mid lane item, built out of Lost Chapter for mana, and will give you the effect of Safeguard, which will not only reduce incoming damage for 75%, but then will persist for 1.5 seconds, and then after it pops, you gain 10 to 40 based on champion level ability power, while granting all other legendary items move speed and ability power. It is okay. It's health, it's ability power, it's mana, it's ability haste, keeps you alive, allows you to do what you want, allows characters like Xerath and Ziggs to shine should they need it, allows characters like Lux to stay alive without needing barrier if you need it. I don't expect it to be that serious, but it's here, it exists. That's all that really matters. Even Shroud. Kindred Gem, Aegis of the Legion item. Its health, its ability haste, its armor, its magic resist. After mobilizing champions or being immobilized, cause the target and all enemies to repent, increasing the damage that they take for 12% for 5 seconds. Damn you, dyslexia. Then granting all other legendary items 5 armor and 5 magic resist. This is a tank item for initiation. This is a Malphite tank item. Technically just a Malphite item. This is a Shen item. This is for top lane players that want to play things like Renekton, that want to get in there and be able to set people up and do something that pigeonholes people in a position that allows them to do what they want to do. This is for Leona. This is for Thresh. This is for pikes that want to be cheeky, but why would you want to do that when you have lethality items that you could buy? This is for the characters that want to do shit like Maokai wants to do shit, and just fuck the team up that you can catch. It becomes easier as it goes on, because you're going to have the ability to do your spells, which is going to help characters like Maokai especially. You're going to start seeing some very strange and weird support picks from top laners and mid laners that are usually tanky in that capacity. You're going to see a lot of more picks that can actually be able to play in situations that can win like this. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really great to see, which then gets counteracted by the fucking trash item that's going to be the ghost of fucking Spear of Shojin, coming back again, but this time in a different form. Axiom Arc. Total cost 3k gold, serrated dirk, colorful hammer, 800 gold, 55 ability damage, 25 ability haste, 10 lethality, and when a champion dies within 3 seconds after you have damaged them, refund 25% of your ultimate's total cooldown. This is basically Navori Quickblade on ultimates, in the fact that you need to kill them within 3 seconds after being damaged. This is an assassin item. This is an 80 top caster item. This is an item for people who basically want to be like Tryndamere and never be situationally in trouble ever again. You build this item, you build other things that give you attack speed and give you damage, and you just aim for enemy head, and you basically just have your cooldown off cooldown and on cooldown permanently. It is disgusting how that works. And this not being a mythic is in-fucking-sane. This should be a mythic. I would be okay with this being a mythic. Nobody should be okay with this item existing. It should be removed from the game. It's going to make things even worse for those facing assassins, because assassins are all you ever fucking see. The fact that this is an attack damage item means that you're going to see Zed building this. You're going to be seeing just basically anybody who wants to build this to get ultimate cooldowns. You're going to be seeing Zed. You're going to be seeing Riven. You're going to be seeing who knows? Maybe even Urgot will want to build this item. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't. It's just an ability haste and attack damage item. Who cares about the lethality? I get to have my ultimate on cooldown once I be able to attack people, and then I'd be able to get to punish them off of doing this. Any person who basically can get in there and apply stuns, shit, even Renekton could make use of this. Anybody who wants to get in there and get off this and get stuns, they get to do whatever the fuck they want. And you damn sure better believe that there's going to be Yeez building this item, because that means they get to have Highlander whenever the fuck they want. I don't know if it's going to be based on whether or not it comes out of cooldown or not, but oh yeah, they're going to get some shit. They're going to get some shit and it's going to fuck. Overly broken item. It needs to be nerfed immediately. Sooner than later. Going into Shadowflame. This is the Hextech Torch saying hello from Season 3. Offensive options for Mage, being narrow because of legendary items that just allow you to deal more damage. This is literally the passive from Season 3. Hextech Auctionator, needlessly large Laud, 700 gold, 100 ability power, 200 health, damage to enemy champions emit from 10 to 20 points of flat magical penetration based on target's current health, with a maximum value at 1,000 or less health and minimum value at 2,500 or more health. Gains the maximum magic penetration if the target was recently affected by shields. This is basically the Serpent's Fang of AP. It's okay. It's okay. But then, moving on to our first transformative item, Winter's Approach into Thimblewinter. 2,600 gold, Tear of the Goddess buy, Kindle Gem, Ruby Crystal, 1,000 gold, 400 health, 500 mana, 15 ability haste, and gaining bonus health equal to 8 mana. This is going to be a strong item because once it builds into Thimblewinter, slowing or immobilizing an enemy champion consumes 3% of current mana and grants a shield for 3 seconds, absorbing 100 to 200 plus 5% current mana for 8-second cooldown, with it increasing by 80% if more than one enemy is nearby. This is an item to punish enemy players that try to fight on top of players that want to be a tank. Maokai will finally come back to the top lane. We will be happy. It will be great. It'll be wonderful. You'll start seeing a lot more picks that want to build mana in the top lane. It'll be okay. This could even get played on characters like Cho'Gath. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Stacking item, hallelujah. Tank Mythics. Bombi Cinder will now execute minions that will be killed by one more tick of Emulate, which will basically allow characters that build Frostfire Gauntlet, Turbo Temcake, and Sunfire Aegis be a lot more powerful in their wave clear. This is not necessarily a Shin buff, it's just a buff to any person who would build Bombi Cinders, because they would either be spamming Frostfire Gauntlet, or would be using Turbo Temcake or Sunfire Aegis when possible. So, to go through that, we'd have to talk about these ones. The most important change here to really think about and understand is the change to Turbo Temcake, because this was the item that every single tank wanted to build to be able to be more effective at what they do. When they're not that, they're building Frostfire, and when they're not building Frostfire, they're building Sunfire. Effectively, Frostfire Gauntlet will now be a basic attack frost field generator for 1.5 seconds that deals 20 to 100 plus 1.5 max health magic damage to all enemies in the area and those who move across the frost field being slow. This is basically a form of Glacial Augment to augment the form of Glacial Augment they just added. This is for tanks like Dr. Mundo, who want to stay on top of people and keep slowing them into their ability damage. This can also be for top lane Cho'Gath, who wants to just use the auto power of their E to slow people and keep beating them down with the ability power of the shit they're doing. It is egregious, it is annoying, and it is disgusting, but it is what it is. But it's just a shift of the power, and it's just mediocre at best. If you're in range of a tank that has Frostfire Gauntlet and you're not popping them with 2 to 3 people, there is something wrong here if you're not an assassin that has the ability to burst their health because they haven't fully built other protection items yet. It's just how it is. Herbal Tank and Sunfire, however, is a bit of a more dangerous change because of the durability change they're going to be making to it. So, Chemtank's Immolate effect, being a requirement for jungle clear rather than a passive, is going to change the item to ganking an initiation that needs to go fast. Moving and dealing damage fills up the Chem Tank, similar to a Hecarim passive, or to a Dead Man's Plate passive with DMP. At 100 stacks, your next basic attack will deal 40 to 120, 1.1 plus percentage max health, and 3 percentage plus movement speed magic damage to all nearby enemies, increased by 25% versus minions and 175% against jungle monsters on your attack. So, you come in for a gank, you get behind the enemy player, and you attack them, you're going to get a burst of magic damage to everything nearby you. The Immolate passive is being removed from this, and then it empowers your legendary items with 5 ability haste and 50 health. For characters that want to build this, like say Rammus, or Zac, I'm not imagining a world where Zac would want to buy this, but just walk with me here. Or maybe even a Mumu even. With characters who build this, this is to make your gank stronger, so that you have the ability to do what you need to do, because you want to have the ability to get on top of the enemy and actually give meaningful damage to the trade sequence. That is what Chemtank will do here. It's kind of nasty, but it is what it is. The active does not get changed, so you're moving at a billion move speed, and you're trying to get in on them. This is even an item for our boy Singed, but you're not going to be seeing much of this, except if you're seeing it from Minish Capped. Then you have Sunfire Aegis. Expensive tank mythic. The stats are still underwhelming, you still get to have additional ticks of your damage added to your auto attacks, which makes you a moving fighter. And now it will augment with slow resist, tenacity, and 50 health. So, pure tank, ganking tank, fighting tank, or at least trading brawler or bruiser. Some veracity of that. Then into Abyssal Mask. It's being changed because it was too powerful for champions that could use the immobilization effect, and only those champions. It will be reshaped to be a hybrid offense-defense. The cost will be unchanged. The build path will be changed from the Giant's Belt and Negatron Coat in gold to a Kindle Gem and Spectral's Cowl, which means it will be getting an ability haste path line for this. It'll get 50 more health. It's going to lose half of its magic resist, and will now curse nearby enemy champions, reducing magic resist by 5 points plus bonus health to a max of 20, so 25 magic resist cut. And then for each cursed enemy, gaining 7 magic resist. 7 times 5 is 35. You're going to be using this on people who want to be tanky boys. It's going to be powerful on characters like Amumu, which is what I expect people to build. However, we have to sing a fucking song for the loss of what we're seeing here from our boy, Force of Nature. Because I choose to play Yorick, I'm singing out for this because it fucking sucks. Namely because you're going to lose bonus move speed and magic resist. It also sucks in Warwick players, so you're losing bonus movement speed and magic resist. Because Force of Nature was originally meant to be a void to be filled for Adaptive Helm when it was made into what it was. And it really does undervalue and move between resistances and movement speed. Condensing and buffing its effects, they want it to be a go-to option when facing heavy magic damage comps or high DPS mages like Rising Capsiopea. Honestly, not really. Force of Nature is an item you build when you need to have health and you need to have magic resist, but you also want to stay fast. So, seeing this on somebody like Warwick isn't strange. Seeing this on characters like Yorick is not strange. Seeing this on characters like Hecarim is not strange. Seeing this on any character who wants to be frontline, who wants to be able to survive versus the now overfed AP damage, is who would build this. Allowing this to be a stacking benefit for magic damage for Steadfast, especially versus enemy immobilization effects, does not matter if it does not give tenacity. That is ultimately the problem here. That makes this item not fun. Granting bonus move speed and magic resist is good, because that meant that each unique ability stacking on top of you when people decide to death ball towards you as a magic comp is going to be less painful, because now you can get away from them faster, or maybe even kite out, or maybe even jump across them, depending on who you're playing. Now, it's basically, if you're walking into people, if you're not a tank that wants to initiate in the first place, like Shen, you're not really getting real value out of this item. So this is more of a diving item than anything else. Still is powerful on Warwick, nonetheless, but on top laners that basically want to stay on the out rim of the fight, so let's say the fight is here, and you want to be able to move in, you're not really going to get benefits off of that, because it's not going to help you in those capacities. It's going to be rough, to say the fucking least. Moving on from that, we have Knight's Vow. It's an item that exists. It's an item that exists. There doesn't really need to be anything said about it. While your worthy ally is nearby, redirect 10% of the damage they take to you and heal for 8% of the damage that they deal to enemy champions. If they have less than 30 health, redirect 20% of the damage they take to you instead. It's an item for characters that want to keep people alive. There is no real change here. Aegis of the Legion being made more cheaper. Gargoyle Stoneplate being made cheaper. Locket of the Iron Solari. Technically, combined cost is being changed up, but the total cost is being left normal. So this means that there should be more gold taken off the other items, technically. From there, tank items, or rather, mage tank items, in my opinion. Everfrost, Demonic Embrace, Archangel, Seraph by consequence, Cosmic Drive, Horizon Focus, Void Staff, Doran's Ring, Hextech Alternator, Rocket Belt, and Knife Harvester. Use them more execution items, but we have to talk about all of them because this is usually going to be built by people who want to get on top of people. This is really just a season for Singed, honestly, to be happy. So, changes on the build path. Adding a Kindle Gem with a Lost Chapter, with an Amplifying Tome rather than a Blasting Wand, which is going to reduce the cost of Everfrost from 3,200 to 2,800. This is wonderful. Adding 70 ability power. That is wonderful. Leaving the health unchanged, leaving the mana unchanged, leaving the ability haste unchanged, leaving the active unchanged, but updating the passive so that rather than 15 ability power, 10 ability power. This is fine. They are adjusting namely the cost. AP doesn't matter. It's the cost that matters. If you build Futures Market, you're fucking sailing through with this. The same way you would be if you're playing on any top laner. Demonic Embrace, though, this has to be covered, okay? Ability power is being lowered by 10. Health is going up by 100. Hextex Gates. Dealing ability damage burns the enemy for 2% or 1.2 for ranged max damage every second for 4 seconds. No longer granting bonus resistances while enemies burn, but gaining 2% of your bonus health as ability power. This has sins written all over it, but it's technically for any person who would already build Leandri's Torment. So if you like building a AP Bruiser item on a Control Mage, or on AP Assassins that want to do some execute capability through Burst, but you also would be somebody like Brand, who wants to enter into core fights, Brand, Annie, Malzahar, Zarath, Ziggs, Rise, Maokai. There's a lot of options here. Karthus. Fucking Karthus is all people. Especially if you're utilizing this with First Strike. I haven't even gotten into the fucking runes yet. But whoever you utilize this on, this is if you want to punish players for walking at you and trying to kill you. I would suggest using it with things like Crystal Scepter. Rylai's will make this even more egregious, because imagine a Mordekaiser walking you down with this effect and beating your shit in because he's now getting bonus health as ability power, making him even more dangerous than he already was, no matter if he was building one item or another, because it's scary enough, it's going to become even better with this. Moving on from that, Archangel Staff. Unchanged gold value. Tear of the Goddess, Amplifying Tome, and Evil Lord, and extra gold will no longer be the build path. It is now reducing it from a large rod to a blasting wand. So you're seeing a little bit of what the dichotomy here is. They're changing this to amplifying to lower the cost here, and they are changing this build path to then put more of the finishing value into the final gold. This will actually stop punishing you for what you're building. And this is also going to help you, because Kendall Gem being here means you get extra health, which is good, because on an item that's supposed to keep you alive, it doesn't keep you alive when it didn't have health. It has more health now. It'll actually be meaningful to build on characters like Ziggs. But I don't see a reason to build it, other than this awe passive. They're adding a lot more of these to try and compensate you. Gaining ability haste equal to the bonus mana, and Empyrean passive, restoring health equal to 40% mana spent, up to 25 to 50 plus 10% ability power per cast, with toggles restoring the same amount per 1 second. Hello! Hi, Rod of Aegis. How are you? Where have you been? I've missed you, son. We love you. Come back to us. He's back. The boy is back. Rejoice, every character who wants to build this, but especially characters like Kassadin, and Ziggs, and Rise, and all the other people who want to spam this. It's good. It's a start. It's a start. Cosmic Drive is getting gutted, like a maniac. So, instead of the passive we got before, we're getting a new Spell Dance passive, along with a new build path. It still remains 3k gold. Doesn't fucking matter. It's move fast, cast fast. And instead of, if you have at least X ability power, gain 20 ability haste and 20 bonus movement speed, will now be damaging a champion with 3 separate attacks or spells will grant 20% movement speed, decaying at 10, and 40 ability power until leaving combat. This is a shit passive. And the reason why it's a shit passive is that it requires being procced, which makes it more dangerous for characters like, well, really anybody who wants to build this. It's more doable on characters like Mordekaiser, but it's less doable on other characters as well. Basically, if you're not somebody who can attack at range, like, say, post 6 Kale, does it matter? And the answer is no, it does not. But Horizon Focus. This is a buff. Technically. I say technically because it no longer requires a needlessly large lot. It requires a Phoenix Codex, but that's still 1050 gold that you need to complete. So, if you're already ahead, you buy this. If you're winning more, you buy this. But the gut that you are losing here is you're trading the ability power, which sucks, for health and ability haste, which is good. It's fine. It's fine. It's not really fine, honestly. The ability power that should be here is being moved to Cosmic Drive, and the kind of control power that would be here is being adjusted for the health and the ability haste, which I guess helps. But anyways, Hypershot still remains what it is. Horizon Focus is for those people who want to be able to do long mage power. If you're playing Ziggs, this helps you be able to sight people out. If you're able to bomb somebody at a long distance, or if you're playing with a top laner, or playing with a scrapper who likes to do a large amount of skirmishes in side lanes, this is the passive for you that allows you to get this on slowed enemy champions. You are doing massive levels of DPS. This is definitely a buff to people like Teemo, who build AP. It's definitely a buff to people like Shaco, who build AP. It's scary, and you should be afraid of it, but not so much because look at the ability power that's gone. Build Rabadons, basically, is what they're saying to you. Build Rabadons via blue plot. Oh well. Void Staff. Mid-game item. It is the penetration effect. Melting through the AP, shifting its core power to penetration so it's not a one-stop shop for mages who buy it. That is stupid. You're gutting it by 5 points and 5%. I don't see the reason why. This is making it worse, not better. More penetration does not help. If a person is already ahead when they're building Void Staff, it does not actually stop their ability to be relevant. Because it is what it is. Shifting the ability power around does not change the fact that it's still Void Staff. 40 to 45% is a lot when you're talking about the amount of power that you're doing, but then think of the items that they just gutted. You gutted Horizon Focus, you gutted Cosmic Drive, you're changing things like Everfrost and Demonic Embrace. This build is going to benefit people who want to be in the front line more than the back line. So you're going to be seeing this on shows. You're going to be seeing that on shows. You're going to be seeing this on basically any AP bruiser who wants to be in the front doing things. This benefits poke mages who want to stay protected. Along with the items you just fucking added, like Crown of the Shattered Queen, that's where you're going to be seeing some level of capacity come through here for this kind of change. Void Staff does not change that. If people have Void Staff, it means the enemy team is losing because they're getting their asses clapped, and they need to think about their choices. Because whatever made them get to the point that a laner is able to pick up a third item Void Staff in the middle of the game around 15 to 20 minutes, means that they either didn't put them behind, allowed them to power farm, or just put them in a position where they have absolutely nothing to do and will have nothing to show for it. That's on players, not on the production company, but it's here, you have to deal with it. It fucking sucks, but you have to deal with it. Now, Doran's Ring passive. They're technically returning this to the original effect that it gave. So, Drain removes killing a unit to restore 6 mana, and if you cannot gain mana, storing 3 health instead. Now restores 0.75 mana every second. Damaging an enemy champion will now give you the effect of Presence of Mind, increasing the mana amount to 1.5 mana every second for 10 seconds, and if you cannot gain mana, restore 50% of the value as health. This is for people who wanted to be aggressive, but it was not actually giving them the aggression, because you still go with this item. It requires last hitting. Unfortunately, the power of Doran's Ring is not last hitting, it's harass. You could say dueling here. They choose to say a bonus treat for dueling. They can have mana regeneration as a treat, but no, the people who buy Doran's Ring are people who are going to go like Teemo, poking at a top laner, and wanting to get his mana so that he can continue gapping them. That's who benefits from this. Any person who wants to put damage on the enemy so they can be able to get their shit back, this could even be a help to fucking Yorick of all people, because of how much mana regeneration he really needs to have in his kit. But that's besides the point. This is a buff to any person who wants to be able to get regeneration so they can keep spamming out spells. Poke mages, wave clear mages, battle mages, control mages, pretty much anybody who wants to farm safe, who would be using all the other new items and tank items and mage items that give them survivability. If they basically build a tier, they're going to be building this item. Guaranteed. Great lane start over potion. And then even then, they're going to still have a potion. It makes it a really safe lane in this mindset. There's never going to be a time where you're going to see them gaining mana, but hey, ability power, Katarina, it's a thing. Hextech Alternator. Removing 15 ability power. Adding 150 health. This is not good, and the reason it's not good is because the risk of Hextech Alternator was you were trading survivability for burst, and if you fail and you die, that's your fault for not using something more consistent. This is a reward to give players like Katarina and Echo and LeBlanc way too much survivability that they do not fucking need and should not fucking have, because that is what we are dealing with here. It is dumb. It should require more punishment in the form of them needing to have ruby crystals. But unfortunately, they have decided to change it into giving them all AP items that allowed them to basically still build health and still build OP. This is what the Hextech change here is, because Hextech Rocket Belt are the ones that use the Hextech Alternator. This means that people who will be building Rocket Belt will still remain strong, and people using an Eye Harvester are still going to remain strong as well. It's obscene. It's obscene. Because think of the possibilities. Think of all the combinations that can make use of Rocket Belt and Night Harvester collectively. I'm thinking Akali's, I'm thinking Katarinas, I'm thinking Cassidans, I'm thinking Echoes, I'm thinking Evelyn's, I'm thinking... shit, any of the top lanes too. Any of the people who want to get on top of somebody. Think of the think of the fucking Vigars who want to be cheesy and build a Rocket Belt to close that distance. Think of the anti-initiations. Think of the amount of survivability that they just gained because they built that item first, rather than building survivability first to survive versus burst. It will be wicked. From there, moving into lethality. Duskblade, Eclipse, Prowlers, Youmuu's. Youmuu's is getting an additional 100 gold, which doesn't matter because it's going to be a rush buy to begin with anyways for junglers. Prowler's Claw is going to deal 80 damage, with its Sandswipe active being updated. It's going to build out of Caulfield's Warhammer, Serrated Dirk, and 90 less gold, because they're removing 100 from it. Basically, removing the 100 from here and putting it onto Ghostblade. They are doing the same cost reduction to Eclipse, which still means it's going to be bought somewhere around maybe 8-10 minutes, somewhere like that, earlier if they get more kills than they should have. You're going to be seeing this a lot on 80 jungles. Blue Form Kane is going to be doing this a lot. Namely, Duskblade buys, Eclipse buys, Prowler Claw buys. You're going to be seeing this a lot from Pikes. You're going to be seeing this a lot from basically any kind of snare lane that can put you in a position to get caught. It's going to be on any character who really wants to benefit from it, most of all being things like Kha'Zix. But then, let's look at our passive changes here. So, bonus 80 on next attack versus enemy champion is going to be dealing increased damage, 75 plus an additional 30% bonus AD for melee, and 55 plus bonus 25 for ranged, with all else remaining unchanged. This is going to be disgusting as hell to see. It's nasty, and I don't like it. I don't like it because it just incentivizes more assassins, which does not actually change the meta. Basically, these 3 to 4 items are the reason why we've been seeing so many assassins. They get to have stealth, they get to have penetration and lifesteal, they get to have increased damage and outplay potential, and they get to have increased move speed with no true punishment for what they're doing. So mid lane gets to go out of control as AD, which then necessitates the creation of the new mid lane items. And then, by never addressing the actual problem, which is the playstyles and the meta itself, they are trying to increase an even worse deathball tactic for mid lane champions that will be divers just for existing. Pain, which combos into what is now being removed here with Prototype Omnistone because of the fact that they try to force the meta with this. So now they're going to try to force the meta with this. First Strike, otherwise known as Money Printer. Inspiration Keystone, damage and gold boost when striking a champion. Basic attacks and abilities versus champions within a fourth of a second of entering combat will grant additional gold and first strike for 3 seconds, causing 10% extra damage versus champions, and granting 100 with 70% for ranged champions of bonus damage dealt as gold. This is a 25 to 15 cooldown between levels 1 to 18. If a enemy strikes you first, it goes on cooldown without providing any bonus, which means guess who's coming to top lane? Guess who's coming to mid lane? It's the same shit you already hate, and even more of shit you don't like. Because, unfortunately, because of all the people who have been testing this and abusing this, you're going to be seeing Karthus. You're going to be seeing Karthus build pure burn and penetration and killing your team and getting to print billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of gold. If you do not ban that champion, you better pick it in the jungle or in the bottom lane, because as by the time they get to the point, they will literally just be a full item ahead of your team. It will literally be a full item's value ahead of the team, and penetration damage ahead of the team. It's gonna be sick. On top of that, return of the top lane range tops. You're gonna be seeing a lot of Kennen. You're gonna be seeing a lot of Vayne. You're gonna be seeing a lot of Quen. You're going to be seeing a lot of bruisers and melee tops, like Jax. You're going to be seeing those come out no matter what. A lot of this is basically going to be for the people who want to print money in lane and not get punished for doing so. Heavy trade potential is nasty. Nasty, 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 nasty. From there, Glacial Augment. This is the change I was talking about with Fimbulwinter. Rather than basic attacks periodically slowing, immobilizing a champion will now cause glacial rays to emanate towards them, towards you. From them towards you. You'd think it'd go in the different direction of what it was before, which is when you had an ability to do this, it would shoot out a ray. Now instead it will generate from them to you, so people have to dive past you as a line of attrition, and this will create frozen lines that will slow for your health and your shield power, plus your AP, plus your bonus AD, and then it will also reduce their damage by 50% against your allies, but not including yourself. This basically is the item for Nunu. This is the rune for any person who initiates, who wants to protect their team. If you choose to go for this over any other pick, it is because you want your team to stay alive. So, with that in mind, you have to think about it, because of the fact that it is going to be wild to use in this way. This is probably going to be a help for characters that have initiation that happens at range rather than those in melee. So Carrick is one of the first ones that come to mind. Really, it depends on whatever you call immobilization. Will it be stuns? Will it be slows? Whatever it comes off of and whatever combos into that to make it possible, this is going to be the champion that builds that rune for you. And then, the champion Lethal Tempo. Rather than the original passive, it will now grant you the additional attack speed for 6 seconds stacking to a cap of 6. So, if you have 15 as melee per attack per 6, this goes to 90. And then at that max cap, you will gain 50% your melee range. This makes it so that you can run people the fuck down and win out because of the fact that you have the ability to compare to what you're doing. Because the way that Lethal Tempo used to be is that it was basically, do you want to be the person who stays on top of somebody for a burst of time that can punish them for initiating into you? So, Yi players, Cheese, Darius players, Fiora players, any character who wanted to scale through attack speed, including Jax and Kale. Mainly Jax and Kale, the ones I'm thinking about right now, but War comes to mind because I just tested it. With characters like this, abusing this, ranged players are going to be getting additional range and additional attack cap from 2.5 to 10. So, attack speed out the wazoo, but what's more important here is that this stacks versus enemy champions. You will get attack speed that will stay on you, so you can win trades. So just swing away. Just swing away. Ultimate Scale Book, I don't fucking care about. Auto Smite. Junglers inside this queue are going to be getting Auto Smite. Something that I honestly feel should fucking exist in the base game. Honestly. Auto Smite should be inside of the base game, but they're not adding it. I just wanted to pass on to this because it's just not what it is. It's just not what it is. It's just not what it is. They're not the same as it ever was. Bullshit about this virtual effects and F's effects. All chat removal. Garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. End of season rewards have been distributed. Ixtal Clash. And bug fixes. Tooltip trackers, which now track Bloodthirster. Gargoyle Stoneplate. Guardian Horn, which is ARAM, so who cares? Dominic's Regards. Rapid Fire Cannon. Spirit Passage. And Storm Razor, along with Aftershock tracking. And some bug fixes. That is the patch. These are the skins they want you to buy. Here is your Arcane Jinx skin to get people to support the game. And your chromas. That is the patch. Ultimately, to sum up in the best way that I possibly can, this is the season of the shitter. It is the season of the shitter being given the opportunity to get into the game when they could not. It is the best time and the worst time to get people into League. Hopefully it works out for the better. I do not expect it to do so. Hopefully people will actually be able to succeed off of this. Who fucking knows? But we're gonna find the fuck out tonight, because I will be playing this on stream. Potentially with people in my community, but more importantly with friends. And we will be trying out this, and I will be trying to teach and coach, as I already do, and roasting shitters in every single ranked game I play, should they choose to be toxic in my games. You can check that out at Single Player Carl, and be able to follow up with me on my Twitter at First Player Carl. That is the number 1 ST Player Carl on Twitter, Twitch, Single Player Carl, YouTube, here at Single Player Carl Live, and I will see y'all soon. Peace. I'm leaving. I'm going. I'm gone. I'm gone. Goodbye.